Fans, it's Aztec 101 in the ring. So I know this is a late post-fight review, but I do want to talk about Errol Spence versus Kell Brook. Turned out to be a really entertaining fight. I think everyone expected that this was going to be fireworks, and it satisfied everyone. It was a very good fight, back and forth battle. I'm sad that it didn't go all the way. I wanted the fight to go all the way. And I know a lot of UK fans wanted the same thing, because they knew that Kell Brook had a chance. But you guys are being way too harsh on Kell Brook. He did suffer breaking an orbital bone. He had suffered this in his fight previously with Triple G, his last fight. You guys knew that this fighter was going into a fight with an injury or recovering from an injury, which is why when I did my prediction, I couldn't predict who was going to win. I had no idea what kind of damage was left over from the fight with Triple G. That was a very dangerous fight. I'm very surprised that they pushed such a dangerous mandatory for Kell Brook after the Triple G fight, knowing he had this injury. I would have loved to see him fight someone else to see how he was going to turn out, because I had a feeling that something was going to happen. He was going to break down again. And I don't know exactly what caused it, but it was a similar injury. It was on the other side of the face, but again, the orbital bone broke and he couldn't see throughout the fight. He had to take a knee. You guys are way too harsh. Errol Spence, though, I can see why he was demanding this fight. One thing I don't want him to do is to repeat this and go after Thurman knowing that he's recovering from an injury. I don't want to see that again. If I want to see him versus Thurman, I want to see Thurman at 100%. So Thurman, I would rather see, and I know this might be fucking bullshit to some of you, but I want to see it. If it's the best fighting the best, I want to see both of them in the best condition possible. I don't want to see one fighter getting the edge over the other just because of circumstances. And I know some of you guys will be okay with it, but I would rather see Errol Spence get the shot at a Keith Thurman that's 100%. And to be honest, Keith Thurman, to me, in my opinion, is the best welterweight because he's already proven himself. That title is being quickly given to Errol Spence because he fought Kell Brook. It's okay for me to say this. I know a lot of people have been hyping up Kell Brook, but I've been talking about how Kell Brook has a shitty resume. He has a very shitty resume, and it's been like that for a long time. So I've always been very weary of calling him one of the best welterweights out there. But a lot of people have already given that title to him. So there's nothing I can do. But all I can say is that in my book, I still think that the Errol Spence did a very good job. He weathered the storm. He was getting hit with big shots, but he weathered the storm. But he still needs to prove himself to be considered one of the best welterweight. There's no way people can say that at this moment with the fights he has. His performances are good, but they're not that great. Errol Spence was getting lit up by Kell Brook, and Kell Brook lost the fight, and Kell Brook has a shitty resume. Shitty fucking resume. That's just the truth. So how good was Kell Brook to begin with? I don't know. He did beat Sean Porter, but to be honest, I'm one of those guys that felt like Sean Porter won that fight. When I was watching it, I thought Sean Porter won that fight. But anyways, Errol Spence is on the right track. He's got Kell Brook. Next is going to be hopefully a fight with Keith Thurman. But I would rather see Keith Thurman recover, take a tune-up fight, then fight Errol Spence. And that only makes sense. Unless you guys want to see, a joke of a fight with a guy that you have no idea. You just look. I'm not down with easy wins, easy title shots. This should not be easy. All right, so let's see how Keith Thurman recovers. I know that Errol Spence getting a lot of props for calling him out, but he knows the motherfucker's going through surgery and he's recovering from an injury. He knows that. He knew that about Kell Brook and he went after him. He knows that about Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman, do what you have to do. Recover, take a fight, then fight Errol Spence if you have to. But make sure when you go in there, you give the fans 100%. I don't want to see a guy that's half injured in a title fight. And that's how Errol Spence wins the other two titles, the WBA and WBC. But as of right now, Errol Spence is on the right track. And to be honest, he's young enough to where I would want him to not just go in there against a seasoned Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman is much more seasoned than Errol Spence. I would like to see Errol Spence also be able to be given the opportunity to give 100% by fighting some of his mandatories. Doesn't have to be a top 5 guy. It could be a top 10. Put in some work with your title. Have some title defenses lined up. 1, 2. Be active. Be an active champion too. That's one thing I want to see from Errol Spence. Be an active champion. Be more active than Keith Thurman. Errol Spence has a bright future. He's on the right track. But the matchup between him and Keith Thurman, I want it to be when both of them are ready. Completely ready. Because that could be an explosive fight. What do you guys think? It's Aztec 101 in the ring. I'm out.